Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be with you today in class, so I made this notes video to help you through your guided notes worksheet. So as I'm going through things, you can follow along and fill in the blanks and write down the equations and things that I'm going through. If you need to at any point in time, just go ahead and pause the video so you can get caught up on your writing, and then press play again and you can continue with things. But the idea is that you will listen to this whole video in class, take notes as I go through things, and then after that, there's some practice problems I'm going to have you work on. Okay, so in this lesson, we're covering the rest of Chapter 2. It's called the Chapter 2 Mashup because we're combining information from a bunch of different sections together to finish up this chapter. And really, all these ideas that we're going to talk about today are all about finding the area of some of these shapes we've been learning about, okay? So the first thing, though, that we need to talk about before we get into our area formulas is how do we identify the height and the base in a figure? Because a lot of these area formulas use heights and bases to calculate the area. So we need to be able to recognize those in a figure if we're going to use the formula properly. The base in a figure can be any side in the figure. It does not need to be the side the figure rests on. And the height of a figure is always measured perpendicular to the figure's base. So let me show you a few examples. Okay, in example 1, we have the same triangle repeated 3 different times. I'm going to show you 3 different combinations of bases and heights that we would use in this triangle. Remember, the base does not have to be the side that the figure is resting on. It can be any side in the figure, but each base has a specific height that we have to use with it. So here's what we mean by that, okay? In this first example, I am going to use the side the figure rests on. I'm going to highlight this bottom side here. If this is my base, then the height is measured perpendicular to that base. And in a triangle, the height always starts at the vertex opposite the base, and then we measure it perpendicularly to that base. Now, let's say I decide to use a different side for the base. Let's say I'm using this side in the triangle for my base. Then the height is measured from the vertex opposite the base perpendicular to the base. So that would be the height I would have to use in this case. And then for the third side in the triangle, if this side is my base, the height I have to use comes from the opposite corner perpendicular to the base. In a parallelogram, it's the same idea. It does not have to be the side the figure rests on, but the height does need to be measured perpendicularly to that base, okay? So if we choose either the top or the bottom side to be that base, like let's say this side is my base, then the height is measured perpendicularly between those two sides. So that would be the height I would have to use. And if I decided to use, say, this side or the one opposite it as my base, okay, then the height, I'm going to try and draw this in here, it gets a little tricky, okay, would have to be perpendicular to that base. Okay, so here's my base and the height drawn in. The only exception is a trapezoid, because a trapezoid actually has 2 bases, okay, and those bases are always the parallel sides. And the height is always measured, again, perpendicular to the bases. All right, so what does that look like? Well, in this first trapezoid, here are your 2 bases, okay? The 2 parallel sides, we'll call them base 1 and base 2. And the height that we need to use is measured perpendicularly to both bases. When the trapezoid is on its side, again, we're still using those 2 parallel sides. So maybe this is base 1, this is base 2, and now the height that we're using, it's not like vertical height like you might imagine. It's the distance perpendicularly between those two bases. All right, so again, that's important to be able to look at these figures and recognize where the base is and the height that goes with it. All right, so let's jump into these area formulas then. To find the area of a triangle, we're going to take 1/2 the length of the base and we're going to multiply it by the height. Pay attention to which side is the base, as this determines the height that we're going to use. So let's say in this one, I'm using this side as my base. Then my height is from the opposite vertex, perpendicular to my base. Let's try a few problems where we use this formula. So in the first figure, we have a couple of values written in there, okay? And we need to pick out a combination of height and base that go together. What we're looking for is that perpendicular connection, because the height needs to be drawn perpendicularly to the base. In figures such as these, dotted lines are not part of the figure, but they're drawn in when we're using measurements outside the figure. So if we take a look here, we're actually not going to use the measurement of 15, but because we have two perpendicular segments there, that's going to indicate to me that this side would be the base and this side right here would be the height. It's drawn perpendicular to the same level that our base is on. So our base is 10, our height is 9, and so the area is 1/2 of 10 times 9, which is 45 units squared. When we're calculating the area of a figure, the dimensions are always the units squared. I'm going to talk through finding the height and base combinations in the next two problems, and then I'm going to let you plug those numbers into the formula and practice getting the area for each of these triangles. In number 2, we have a triangle that's drawn inside of a rectangle. And so we're going to use the fact that rectangles have 4 right angles to help us figure out the height. If we use the side that's 23 as our base of our triangle, then our height would be drawn from the opposite vertex perpendicular to that side. Using the side length in the rectangle, we would know then that the height would be 8. And in number 3, base and height, this triangle is drawn on a coordinate plane where the x and y axis are perpendicular to each other. So if I use this bottom side that's of length 1 unit as our base, the height then is drawn from the opposite vertex perpendicular to that same side or the same level, and that has a length of 4. So go ahead and pause the video, do those calculations, and we'll check that in just a minute. Okay, so to check your work, I just put up the answers for those last two problems. You should have gotten 92 units squared for number 2 and 2 units squared for number 3. Now this bonus question says, can you also find the area of the shaded region in number 2? And this is interesting because on the next page of the notes, we actually get into problems like this. I like to call them cookie cutter problems. If we were to have that rectangle and we cut out the triangle, how much of that cookie dough would be left in that shaded region? How does this work? Well, to find the area of the shaded region, we're taking the area of the entire rectangle and subtracting off the area of the triangle. So in that case, it would be 23 times 8 minus the 92 square units from before, and so that leaves us with an area of the shaded part as 92 square units as well. In this next section, we're going to talk about how to find the area of a parallelogram and of a trapezoid. The formula for the area of a parallelogram is the length of the base times the height. So in this parallelogram, if this side is my base, remember that height is measured perpendicularly to my base. In a trapezoid, the formula for the area is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. So again, remember those parallel sides are your two bases, and your height is measured perpendicularly between those two bases. In the figures that follow, you're going to find that some of them have extra information in them. That's okay. Let's focus on picking out the combinations of bases and heights. The first one is a trapezoid. So finding the bases is pretty easy. It's just the parallel sides. Here's one of the bases. The 5 is the other base. And then the height is measured perpendicularly between them. Typically, we would see that inside the trapezoid. In this case, they wrote that outside the trapezoid using this perpendicular line that goes to the same level as the base. So our height is 5. Our area is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases, 14 plus 5. And so our area would be 47.5 meters squared. In the second problem here, we have a parallelogram, and we need a base and a height. Notice that between the left and the right sides, they have this line drawn in perpendicularly. That's going to be your height. 6 is your height. How long is the side that it's drawn to? 9. So the area here is base times height, which is 54 inches squared. And for this last one, notice again we have this segment here drawn perpendicular to one of the sides. Okay, and so that's going to be our height. And the side it's drawn to perpendicularly, since this is a parallelogram, it has the same length as its opposite side, which is 20. So the area here is base, which is 20, times the height, which is 5. And it is, let's see here, 100 millimeters. All right. For this next problem here, it lists different quadrilaterals. All right. So what you're going to want to do is take a look at each quadrilateral individually. For example, the first one is A, B, C, and H. So it's this one right here. And if you have colored pencils, you can use those to highlight the quadrilateral you're using. And so this is a parallelogram. Area of that parallelogram is the length of the base. So I'm just going to do this right here and make that my height. So the base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units long times the height, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 units high. And so this area is 20 square units. I'm going to have you stop the video, and I want you to do the same with these other 4 quadrilaterals and figure out their area. We will check those areas together tomorrow when I'm back. But I want you to make sure you go back and do that before moving on, and you can check in with someone else in the room to see if you were on the same page. The last topic we're going to talk about today is how do we take those formulas for area and use them to help us find the area of something called a composite shape. A composite shape just means we're either using a cutout, meaning we're finding the area of a shaded region, or we are putting different figures together to form an irregular shape, like this first one. When you have an irregular shape, all we need to do is split it into smaller shapes that we do know the area of. So for example, if I just draw in that little line there, I just split it into 2 rectangles. This first one is a 5 by 3. How did I know that part at the top is 3? Well, if the whole bottom side is 11 and up top on the right I used 8 feet, that means this one has to be 3 feet to match what's on the bottom, okay? So This first rectangle here is a 5 by 3. And then the second one is an 8 by 3. So the area here is 5 by 3 plus the 8 by 3. So we have 15 plus 24, which is 39 feet squared, 39 square feet. One thing to keep in mind is that there's different ways that we can split up this figure. We could do it the way that I did, or we could even split things up this way, okay? Again, with the same reasoning, that little part is 3, and then from top to bottom, the whole side is 5 units long, and if I use 3 units here, then I've got 2 left for that little part, okay? You could even find the area of the entire rectangle and take off that part right there, and you're left with the area of the irregular shape. So any of those methods will work. In the second example, this is a cookie cutter problem, okay, a cutout problem. So we're trying to find the area of the shaded region. Imagine you roll out cookie dough in a perfect rectangle, you stamp out the center rectangle, and what's left is the area around the outside, the shaded region, okay? So the area of what is shaded is equal to the area of the large rectangle minus the area of the small rectangle, okay? What does that look like? Well, the large rectangle is a 12 by 24 length times width, and we're going to take away the small rectangle, which is 4 times 8. 12 times 24 is 288 minus 4 times 8, which is 32. And so our final area is 256 square meters. For this last problem, we are trying to find, again, the area of the shaded region. It's another cookie cutter problem. We've rolled out our dough into a perfect rectangle. We're cutting out the white triangle, and we're looking for the area of that shaded region or the dough that's left. So the area we're looking for is equal to the area of the rectangle minus the area of the triangle. What's the area of the rectangle? It's a 17 by 8 length times width minus the area of the triangle, 1/2 the base, which is 8, times the height, which happens to be 17. 17 times 8 is 136, and then we're subtracting off 1/2 times 8 times 17, which is 68, and so the final answer then is 68 inches squared, 68 square inches. Okay, so that finishes our notes on area. And so what I'd like you to do now to practice is work through these problems in your textbook, all right? And so tomorrow in class, we'll go through questions on that. So bring all your questions from this lesson and from this practice work to class tomorrow, and we'll talk through things. All right, thanks guys. And again, sorry I couldn't be there. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.